Well, hello again, and today the sun's come out very briefly, so I quickly roll the bike outside to get a few shots of it in the sunshine. And since the last video I've used some rubbing compound to smooth out the paint job and also then polished it. It still needs a bit more work, I think, but for now I'm pretty happy with it. There's still a few little jobs to do yet. For example, I managed to get some overspray on the side of the seat, which I think you can see just there. And also I need to clean up the Monza fuel cap, which has a little bit of overspray on there. I've still got to fit the rear lamp, of course, but that'll have to wait until the wiring's been done. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the paintwork there, and for £70 you really can't complain. And hello again, and here we are back in my garage on a very cold day, and I made a start on the wiring. I've not got very far yet, but we've got to start somewhere. And so far I've located the rectifier and the fuse box and done the first few wires for that. I've also wired up the rectifier and the starter motor. But this tray is going to have to come out of the bike because I need to drill it to mount a relay and a flash unit and so on. And I've also found a home for this new chromed horn, which now sits below the headstock. The only thing is the bracket feels a little bit too fragile. You can see it there vibrating away. So I think that bracket will have to go and I'll have to make a stronger one. And the last component I was waiting for quite a while was the coil. And that's because the coils have been a bit of an issue all along. And the reason being that these are the original coils that came with the Guzzi, and sadly one of them's cracked and so I couldn't use it. And to buy another one would cost more than I wanted to pay. Therefore I replaced these with these nice cheap and cheerful Lucas coils, which were made for a car, something like a Mini or an Austin Metro or something like that. They are, however, the same spec as the original Guzzi coils. But these in turn have caused me another problem, which is that they're quite a lot bigger than the originals. And on a standard bike it maybe wouldn't have made that much difference. I could have hidden them behind a side panel or something like that. But in this case there's nowhere for them to hide. So these Lucas coils will have to go, and instead I've bought this single fire coil made for a Harley. And what this is two separate coils in one plastic body. And as you can see, it's pretty damn small, and it's the same spec as these Lucas coils, and hopefully that'll fit on the bike just where I want it. And these Handlebar Controls have just arrived. I was very pleased with them. I got them from Amazon, and they're metal bodied, which is quite a surprise, and they feel quite good. Nothing wrong with them whatsoever, and the best thing of all is they only cost £12, which is unbelievable. So they'll be going on the bike as well. And so to mount that coil to the bike I need to make a bracket, and that's what I'm doing right here. I've got some 6mm angled alloy plate. I've marked out where the hole should be, so let's get started. First mounting hole done, and as I've already mentioned, the beauty of this particular old pillar drill is that the bed can move accurately, so let's just spin that along. No guesswork required. Yeah, about right there I think. And we can drill again. And it looks like I've got the holes in the right place. Everything seems to fit okay. And the next step is to cut this alloy plate down a wee bit. Phew. That's that done. I'm warm now. So a quick test fit, and I think the coil can go round about there. It's sitting quite high between the carbs, so it shouldn't be too visible, and it's in a good place for the HT wires, and I can mount it off this mount here, which is the rear mount for the tank, or at least it used to be. So now all I've got to do is drill a hole in this top piece and then shape it and polish it. So I've done a quick test fit of this bracket with the coil, and it all seems to work okay, except for one problem, and that is that the wiring from this ignition barrel is too close to the wiring for the coil. There's hardly any room at all there. In fact, I think it's touching. So, and since it's going to be a lot easier to move the ignition barrel rather than the coil, then what I'm going to do is to make a new bracket to hold this ignition barrel in place. It'll be roughly in the same area. I'll just make it a bit longer so I've got a bit more room with the wiring. And there's no way I could predict in advance that I would have a problem just there. And that's one reason why these custom bikes take long to do. It's quite easy when you're doing a restoration because you know what you're aiming for, you know that everything will fit as it should because you've got a bike there to start with. But when you've got a custom bike like this, nothing ever fits the first time round. You've got to be adaptable and not get too upset when things don't work out the way you want it to the first time. For me, it's much more complicated and more difficult than to do a full restoration of a standard bike.